И снова здравствуйте, мои уважаемые зрители.
Hello again, dear viewers. In the yard we have the 21st of April and today's military review. What is happening on the fronts of the Ukrainian war, and what can we expect? And so we went in the northern direction, where the Bryansk, Kursk, and Belgorod regions are. Everything is still quiet, calm. Nothing fundamentally so serious is happening. Artillery duels continue in the Kharkiv region, and also, by the way, Russian troops delivered a serious concentrated blow to the concentration of Ukrainian armed forces in the Zolochevo region. That is, in the Zolochevsky district, 5 or 6 settlements were immediately hit, where the armed forces of Ukraine are concentrated, and, in fact, there was a strong artillery raid. Recently, I don't even remember such a powerful artillery raid in this area. This is where things like this happen. In the area of Gulyaipole, Zmayevo, so far without changes, artillery strikes are inflicted. Russian troops are probing the positions of Ukrainian troops, but in principle there is no progress. As for Izyum, I really want to say a big thank you to the latest briefing by General Konashenkov, which shows the settlements that were hit by the Russian armed forces. On the whole, it made it possible to correct the line of advance of the Russian troops, and it is somewhat to the north than I previously drew it. This is approximately the line that today, one might say, more or less corresponds to reality. That is, there are Russian troops here, and, accordingly, to the south and southeast, southwest, the troops of the armed forces of Ukraine. And I want to emphasize that today Russian troops are here in this direction. Also concentrates its forces on inflicting the maximum possible losses, with the help of artillery and aviation. Moreover, the scale of strikes in this area was the largest here for all time. Positions were hit somewhere within the width of the defense line, or rather, for some, the defense line, for some, the offensive line. Approximately 50 kilometers, and to a depth of 10 to 15 kilometers, that is, very powerful blows were inflicted on the concentrations of Ukrainian troops in the area. That is, this suggests that after the preparatory stage is over, the Russian command plans to attack very quickly in this direction, and achieve the results it needs quickly. Also, today there were reports of very serious fighting in the Popasnaya area. Russian troops and troops of the People's Republic of Lugansk were advancing. We moved into new areas of Popasnaya, but so far there are stubborn battles. The Russian troops and the troops of the Lugansk People's Republic are trying to turn their operational breakthrough into an operational tactical one. But taking into account the fact that large reserves were transferred here from Rubezhenoye was surrendered yesterday, as well as from Severodonetsk. Here, the Ukrainian army has so far managed to localize the breakthrough. Nevertheless, powerful air and artillery missile strikes were carried out in this direction all day today. More and more strongholds of the Ukrainian troops are being ground down, and gradually, gnawing through the defenses of the Ukrainian troops. The Lugansk units and units of the Russian Federation are moving forward. As soon as Popasnaya falls, or this operational breakthrough becomes operational tactical, a threat will instantly hang over all these sectors of the front. That is, Russian troops will be able to go to the rear of the Lysychansk grouping of the Ukrainian army. And also, if you're lucky, then immediately to the rear of the Slavic, Kramatorsk group. Thus, it will immediately bring down the entire front in that direction. Hence the fierceness of the fighting here. Also, taking into account the fact that today there have already been reports of a mass transfer of troops from the Mariupol region. 2 words about Mariupol. After President Putin said that we would not storm it, nevertheless, he did not promise anything about it. We will not bomb him. The bombing of Mariupol is underway, artillery shelling of Azovstal is underway, and accordingly, Here they do not allow the armed forces of Ukraine and Izyum to lean out of these cracks in which they have settled. Here I would like to say a few words why, apart from the military component, we used to say, in order to save the lives of soldiers, Russia could well make such a decision. Firstly, while the garrison of Mariupol is alive, this headache of President Zelensky. Because constantly, Natsiki, in Kiev they are constantly being fucked and told, save our guys. And if, for example, they are rolled into asphalt and destroyed, then, not only will no one need to be saved, it will also be possible to hang a crown of martyrs on them and declare them heroes. In the meantime, they sit there dying, or suffering deprivation from hunger. All these negative trends for Zelensky can be exaggerated. I think this is one of the reasons why President Putin made such a decision, and I also think that the foreign specialists who are sitting in the dungeons there are very valuable exchange material. And it may well be, I'm almost sure that behind the scenes negotiations are already underway. I think Western countries are trying to convince Russia to hand over these people, quietly, without noise, without dust, as they say. And the only question is what the West will offer for it. I think it must be something very significant. But in order to conduct such negotiations, these people must, as they say, be kept on a short leash. That is, to surround, clamp from above, prevent them from getting out and gradually crush, bomb, and shell with artillery. What Russian troops are doing here today. But, returning to Avdiivka, it is obvious that these forces, which have now been released in the Mariupol region, they will be transferred to this direction, and in the next day, or 2, or 3, I think, they will rest a little, after Easter. The active phase of the offensive in this direction will begin. And before that, of course, they will continue to bomb, shoot, and destroy the identified strongholds of the armed forces of Ukraine in order to facilitate the further advance of the troops of the Donetsk People's Republic and parts of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. Also, today there are reports that Russian troops are gradually moving deeper. Rather, they are finishing liberating the Zaporozhye region. Because for the most part, the Zaporozhye region has already been liberated, and the fighting is already taking place on the border with the Dnipropetrovsk region, on an increasingly wider front. Russian troops are gradually entering the rear of Gulyaipole, and trying to cut them off from supplies from the north. In the same way, gradually, albeit slowly, an offensive is developing in the region of Velikaya Novosyoka. I emphasize that this is not an offensive. Even American and British experts say that this is not the main phase of the offensive operation, it is a preparatory phase. Moreover, for the most part, Russian troops do not conduct such contact battles here. The scheme is this: strong points are being destroyed, warehouses are being destroyed. After that, and there is a local territorial defense, even if it is quite well coordinated. However, local territorial defense is not a regular unit. And then usually, this territorial baron, after a short skirmish, retreats to the next positions, which gradually, the Russian troops occupy. Thus, in 3 days the Russian army advanced in places up to 25 kilometers. This is approximately what is happening in the Zaporozhye direction. 2 words about the Nikolaev direction. Already no one stutters about any attack on Kherson. All of them have already forgotten, and Governor Kim, everyone is focused on how to keep Nikolaev. Because the Kiev regime is waiting from day to day, of course. Already after Easter, there will be an offensive by Russian troops in this direction. And they are very much afraid that this will be a very powerful and serious operation, not only to encircle and capture Nikolaev, but also to cut off Odessa from the rest of Ukraine. So far, these are only assumptions, and not mine. I emphasize, but American and British intelligence. This is approximately what is happening now on the fronts of the Ukrainian war. That's all for now. Goodbye. The next issue is planned for tomorrow morning.
Все, до свидания. Следующий выпуск планируется завтра утром.